I'm coming off of like a full week of being sick. You can still hear it in my voice, but I wanted to sit down and get this what sold video filmed for you guys. So here is everything that sold in the week of November 3rd through the 9th. Hi everyone, my name is Becky Park. I am a part-time reseller on a variety of reselling platforms, although in today's video, we're just talking about Poshmark and eBay because that's the only places that I sold anything this week. I did have one direct sale as well as a result of a haul video that I posted not too long ago. And so it was an interesting week of sales. And you know, I often talk about how I'm glad that I've been cross-listing to a bunch of different platforms for a while now because I don't know, it's like sometimes some platforms will do really well and then sometimes they just won't for whatever reason. I like to think that whenever an app does some sort of update or when they're making a few changes, things always get a little wonky with their sales. And so if you're cross-listing to a few different platforms, then there is some like cushion for your main platform if it's not doing as well, that hopefully you'll sell stuff on other platforms. And typically I find that I never do really well on all of the platforms that I sell on. It's always, I'll have one platform just kind of shine and outperform everyone else, and then the other platforms are there just kind of throwing supplementary sales and money at me. So this week it was interesting because I feel like all of the platforms honestly have been kind of slow, but Poshmark really pulled through with 11 sales, and eBay I only had 5. So if it hadn't been for Poshmark, you know, if I were only selling on eBay, it would have been a very rough week indeed. But let's go ahead and start talking about the sales. And the first day that we'll talk about is November 3rd, which was, I believe, a Monday, but let's make sure.
3 hours later.
Yes, it was a Monday. And on Poshmark, I had this really cool sale. It was this vintage pair of 90s Guess jeans. You know, in the 90s, Guess was so big, but it was the original classic fit, straight women's size 31 jeans in a black color. They were high rise and they sold for $42 on Poshmark. I had $6 into them from a Plato's Closet. They were doing their 70% off sale. And this was one of the few things that I got at the 70% off sale because I thought it was worth it for $6. And it took a little over a month to sell. So my net profit was $27.60. And I was really happy with that. You know, I know 90s and Y2K stuff, it's still going strong, still really popular. And these are just like a classic pair of jeans too that have just that little extra added value of nostalgia attached to it. So very happy with that sale. Also on the 3rd on Poshmark, I sold this Natural Reflections women's large. It was a plaid button-up shirt with like a bandana patchwork print to it. It was primarily in a blue color. That I got at a Goodwill outlet in Tacoma, Washington, which is like in that Seattle area. I got it this summer when I went to go visit my parents. I had about $1 into it. It sold for $15 and my net profit was $11. And that took about 3 months to sell. Natural Reflections is not one of those brands that is very expensive to begin with, so it's traditionally not going to resell for a ton, but I just thought the style was really cute, which is why at the bins I was like, sure, like this doesn't even weigh a pound, I'll go ahead and pick it up, and I was happy with that flip. Next on the 3rd on Poshmark, I sold this pair of new with tags J. Crew Factory Callie, that was the style name, Callie Plant in a Stuart Tartan red plaid. They were just really nice pants in a women's size 4. So those sold for $35. I thought these were perfect to sell in November for the upcoming holidays. I didn't have any money into them because they were gifted to me from Reseller Supply Co., which it's like a wholesale company for resellers run by resellers, and they sent me home with a few boxes after I toured their warehouse, if you will. They sent me home with like 3 boxes so that I can do an unboxing for you, and this was one of the items that came in the J. Crew box. So these took about 7 months to sell. I do think I had them priced kind of high, but they finally sold, like I said, for $35, and my net profit was $28 on that. And then moving on to the 4th of November, which was a Tuesday, on eBay, oh, I had a great sale. I had one great sale on eBay and one great sale on Poshmark, and that's what made this month for me. So on eBay, I sold this Johnny Was Baya, which is kind of like, if you see the brand Baya on a tag, that means it's Johnny Was. I don't even think it's like a lower label or anything like that. It's just another name that they have for Johnny Was. It's weird. But it was the Mazzy Boxy Shirred Maxi Dress. That was the style name. It was in a size extra large. It was embroidered along kind of like the waistline, and it had a floral and animal print. It was beautiful, and I did pay up for it. I mean, pay up at least to my standards. I paid $19.20 for this at a local consignment store. I got it at the end of October during an 80% off clearance sale that they were having. And so it sold for $112 on eBay. And I actually paid a little extra for shipping just because I was going to ship it ground, and for me to ship it ground, it wasn't going to cover the whole package with shipping insurance. And so just in case, it got lost or something, just to ensure that I would get all of my money back, I did pay a little extra for shipping insurance. So with that and with eBay fees and with my cost of goods, my net profit on that sale was $60.98. And it sold in one day. I listed it and the next day it sold, which typically, I don't know, that's not always the case for me when it comes to Johnny Was. Sometimes I sit on it for a really long time, and then sometimes like this, it just goes. So I was really, really happy with that sale. Also on the 4th of November, on Poshmark, I sold this Tommy Bahama Golf women's medium full zip jacket. It had a tropical leaf print to it. It was green and blue, and I put the word outdoor in the listing title as well. So that sold for $29. I had $6.50 into it, and my net profit was $16.70. And that was something that I got at a local consignment store as well in August. It was during a 75% off tag sale, and that one took about 2 months to sell. And then moving on to the 5th of November, which was a Wednesday, on Poshmark, I sold the North Face boys extra small insulated hooded puffer jacket. It was goose down filled, and it was blue. This was a mess in that the jacket was just in rough shape. It was, first of all, something that my son had worn, and I don't know what he did, but I think it was near the elbow. He poked a hole in it, and if you get holes in goose down jackets, feathers just start coming out like crazy. So I did the worst patch job to it ever, and I kind of sewed, the hole shut. It did not look good, and there were all these little holes throughout, but I went ahead and listed it because, there was still some life to it. I was I'm just gonna list this for super cheap. I'm imagining a family that lives in Florida or California or something, and they're gonna take one trip to Alaska, and they just need something a little warmer. For that, they don't want to buy a brand new winter jacket for a kid who's just going to outgrow it the next year. It's not even they can reuse it the following year. And so I was I'm just going to list it and see what happens. It sold for $15. I made $12 on that because I didn't have any money into it. I guess we have the money into what we paid for it initially, but I'm just saying I had no money into it. And it sold in less than 2 weeks. And I know I preach this all the time, but you can sell flawed items. You have to be very clear about the fact that they're flawed. I took pictures of the little area where I tried to sew over the hole. I wrote it in the description. I was very clear about the fact that there were some big flaws on this jacket. I would say that the condition was fair, on different platforms where you can state the condition. So as long as you do those things, you can sell flawed items and people will understand okay, this is what I'm getting. And they understand that's why they're paying a lot less for it. And I was happy to do that. I was happy with that sale. And, I think this sales week goes to show there's not a right or wrong way to resell. There are some people who will tell you that there's a wrong way, and they will love the chance to look at you and say you are doing it wrong.
Put the butter knife in the peanut butter. Take the butter knife out of the peanut butter.
You did it wrong.
I just can't subscribe to that philosophy. Are there smarter ways to resell than maybe what other people are doing? Sure, of course. People, you can always be more organized, you can always be more streamlined. But when it comes to is it wrong for me to list flawed items? I don't think so. Is it wrong for me to list items knowing full well that I might only make a $10 or $11 profit on it? I don't think it's wrong. So I don't know. That's just my way of saying if you are sad because you feel you should be reselling differently because that's what other people tell you or that's what people are preaching in their videos, I would just say you do what is right for you in this season of your life. That's one of the reasons why I really enjoy Resellers Edge University. It's something that I've been a part of now for over a year. And I like it because while the people who run Resellers Edge University, that's Kaylee, Elaine, and Trash Pandas, Sean and Bethany, they both have very profitable reselling businesses that make good money. They make way more money with their reselling businesses than I do. But also, it's cool because they're two different entities they both run their businesses differently, and they're both very open to like, no, you do what you want. Like, you run your business the way that you want. We're just going to always throw tips at you in regards to like how to be more organized, how to be more streamlined, how to make it so that you can scale. But they don't share those tips and just kind of like scalable ideas with the idea that that's the only way, you know? And I think that's one of the things I like about it. And I really like just the community on Resellers Edge University, where you can hear what everyone is doing with their business and you're able to kind of cherry pick the things that align with you and where you're at in your life. And I think that's what I've gotten the most out of Resellers Edge University. Yes, they have like a bolo list. Yes, they have like a course essentially where you can watch, you know, like videos of Kaylee, Elaine, and Sean and Bethany, like, you know, sharing with you like how to do different things. They have weekly calls. They have all these things. But I think one of the most beneficial parts of Resellers Edge University is the community and being able to learn from the community. And, you know, like the Facebook group is so rich with people just sharing and commenting and encouraging one another and sharing tips, like sharing how things work in their own business with others in case, you know, that could apply to someone else's reselling business as well. And, you know, again, in this video, you're going to hear about some really amazing big sales. And some people would say that's all you should do. Like, you should only try to sell these huge, big things. And if you don't, you're doing it wrong. But my philosophy is I'm going to sell anything. Like, I'll sell anything that makes me some money. I'm not elitist about it. Like, I don't turn my nose up at any brands or any styles. Like, if it's going to make me money, I'm going to list it. And I always try to aim for items that will net me $20 or more. But if I, you know, happen to come across something that I know will be a quick flip, and even though it's not going to net me $20, like, I'm going to find joy in selling that piece, I'm just going to do it. So I don't know if you subscribe to that idea as well, that there's not necessarily a right way to resell, but you would like to be plugged into a community where you can learn more about reselling and just hear from the examples of lots of different resellers. Definitely check out Resellers Edge University. I do have an affiliate link down in the description below for you to save. I think it's like 50% off of your first month. The next thing to sell was also on the 5th, and it was also on Poshmark. It was this Ralph Lauren blue 2-button cotton coat with pockets. It was in a women's plus size 20W. This was a good sale. It sold for $42. I got it at a local estate sale over the summer on their half off day, so I paid $2.50 for it. My net profit was $31.10, and that took a little over 4 months to sell. Outerwear of all sorts is selling so well for me right now, for obvious reasons. So if you have any, you know, get that stuff listed. And then on the 6th of November, which was a Thursday, I had a direct sale because someone reached out to me after watching one of my YouTube videos where I did a haul from, what was it? Where did I go? Oh, it was from like my local consignment store during their 80% off clearance sale. So Erin reached out to me and she said, oh my gosh, I need those Judy blue shorts that you showed. And I was like, absolutely. So it was this pair of 2XL dark wash Bermuda shorts. And I had $3 into them from this local consignment store. I sold them to her for $25 shipped, which means I paid for shipping as well. I remember when I first started reselling and I would try to purchase things from people directly, you know, like I'd message them on Instagram and be like, oh, I want that. Like, how much do you want for it? And they'd be like, $30 shipped. And I was like, what does that mean? Like, I just remember not knowing all the jargon at first. So in case you also don't know what that means, $25 shipped means I charged her $25, but that also meant I was going to pay for shipping. So my net profit on that ended up being $13.69. But best of all, it went to Erin. And Erin, I hope you love them. I hope that they're exactly what you wanted. So also on the 6th, this is where I had my amazing Poshmark sale, and it was a magnolia pearl piece. So if you've watched my channel for a while, you know how excited I get when I find magnolia pearl, and that's because almost always it's guaranteed to sell for over $100. Almost always it's guaranteed to sell very quickly, and it's just one of those brands that you can't find very often because there's not a lot of it out there. I don't think that their pieces are particularly super cute, but man, is there a market for this brand. This was a women's oversized asymmetrical t-shirt. It was made of 100% cotton. It was flowy, gray, boho, and this is something that I got, you will never believe, at Plato's Closet during their 90% off clearance sale. I got this in September. And I'll be honest with you, like a lot of times the 90% off clearance is so hit or miss. Like a lot of times I get there and it's so picked over, like it's basically garbage at that point. There's just like nothing really worth picking up. And so I remember even contemplating that day if I should go or not. I was like, maybe I'll just stay home and get some work done. But there was something inside me that was like, no, you should just go. So I did. And I was like finding like random okay stuff, like old navy jeans. And I don't know, like I was very half-heartedly just kind of looking around. And then I got to this upper round where they had a lot of dresses and stuff. And I'm just sorting through the racks. And then I saw just this black, shirt. And I saw the label tag and it was kind of like twisted. But it looked very much like Magnolia Pearl. And I was like, but there's no way. So I like straightened out the label and I was like, oh my God. And I like checked the tag because I was like, surely someone just stuck this back in here. Like it can't be on 90% off clearance. It was. They had it priced at $25, which means like maybe they tried to look up comps, I guess. I don't know. Like they still have like Miss Me jeans priced at like $50. So I don't really know what's going on over there, but they priced this at $25 originally. And I would have happily paid $25 for this, but I got it for $2.50. It sold for $115. It took 3 days to sell. And my net profit was $89.50. And best of all, like the first day and the second day that I got this, I got a bunch of offers on it right away, like on eBay and a bunch of other platforms. Lots of lowball offers. I always countered. They always declined or, just kind of ghosted me at that point. This person, they actually sent me an $89 offer. I think I had it listed for $125. And I was already feeling so just like annoyed with this particular piece, like with the lowball offers that I was getting, that I very pettily, I don't know if that's a word, but I sent a petty offer of $115, which is only $10 off of my asking price, and she accepted right away. So that was just not what I was expecting. I was totally expecting to like go back and forth with this person, and that's not what happened. So my net profit was $89.50. Like that's what I'm talking about. And then on the 7th, which was a Friday, I had no sales. Also on the 8th on eBay, I sold this Talbot's Pink Career 1-button blazer in a women's size 18W. I did have the word Barbiecore in the listing title, even though that movie is so old at this point. But I think, I don't know, I was just kind of hurting for keywords. I put bold and modern in the listing title as well. This sold for $27.90. That was an offer that I sent out to watchers on eBay. It took about 6 months to sell. I had $5 into it from that same local estate sale where I got the Ralph Lauren coat. And so I had $5 into this item because I got this on the full price day. So my net profit was $17.46 on that. And I think I said this, but this took about 6 months to sell. Also on the 8th of November on Poshmark, I sold this Y2K Abercrombie & Fitch women's small cable knit sweater made of like a wool alpaca blend. It was gray. This was like the closest thing that I have found to kind of that like Bella Swan from Twilight, like that look. You know what I mean? Like that's really in right now, like the Y2K Hollister stuff. And I do believe this was a true Y2K piece. This was another item that I got at that Plato's Closet 90% off clearance sale, the same time that I got that Magnolia Pearl piece. So I only had $1.02 into this item because they had it priced at $12. It sold for $42. I think I had it priced at $50. And Posture VA sent out offers on my behalf for $42. And so my net profit was $32.40 on something that I picked up at a Plato's Closet 90% off clearance sale. And it took 11 days to sell. So I was really happy with that sale too. And that Plato's Closet haul turned out to really do some good for me. I don't know. That was pretty great. The next sale was also great. It was on Poshmark as well. It was by the brand Quince. And if you guys have been watching my channel, I don't find a lot of Quince. In fact, this was one of the first pieces that I've ever found. I think I found a pair of pants and a dress before this. So this is maybe like the third Quince piece that I found. But I went to a Goodwill in Chicago and I found literally 3 Quince pieces all right next to each other on a new rack. And so that made pieces 3, 4, and 5 that I have found of quince, which is really exciting. But it was this 100% Mongolian cashmere open cardigan sweater in a charcoal gray color. And literally, like, that is what it says on one of the tags inside the garment. It tells you everything, which I love. Like, it just makes it so easy to, find comps and stock photos if you're into that. So, like, selling quince is really easy for that reason. But I listed this for $50. I got an offer for $42. I accepted. I had $7.99 into this item from that Goodwill in Chicago. And so my net profit was $25.61. And it sold in 6 days. I do feel like, if it had been a cashmere sweater by another brand, it probably could have sold for more. But quince's big thing is that they're not that expensive to begin with. Like, they kind of take out the middleman and they're just selling you items kind of for their value, if that makes sense. Like, that's kind of their thing. Just like with The Ordinary skincare, like, that's their thing. Like, they use the same ingredients as some of these really expensive skincare brands like Tatcha and La Mer and whatever. Like, they're using, maybe not La Mer, I don't know, but they're using a lot of the same ingredients, but they're just not paying for all of the crazy branding, and they're not paying any celebrities to endorse their products or do commercials for them, and that's why their products are so cheap. It makes me think too of like Mark Cuban's, he does like pharmaceuticals now. Like, he sells a lot of medication for much cheaper than what Big Pharma wants to sell it to us for, because of the fact that he's kind of just taking out the middleman. Like, he's saying, here's how much I had to pay for the ingredients, and then I'm just going to charge you basically that much. So it's a cool brand for that reason. You just can't resell it for that much, I found, which is fine, but that just means you have to pick it up for super cheap. Also on the 8th, on eBay, I sold this pair of Vionic Vera, I think that was the style name, orthotic water-resistant suede ankle boots in a black color in a women's size 11. Those sold for $17.90. They took about 3 months to sell. I had $11.19 into them. So my net profit was $2.24. So that was kind of a stinky sale. But I got those at the beginning of the year at a Goodwill in a town about an hour and a half away from where I live. My students were at an all-state music conference in rehearsals. I went thrifting. I paid way too much for those, and I made some French fry money. So there you go. Also on the 8th on eBay, I sold this Eddie Bauer men's Travix Voyager blazer jacket in a size 42. It was beige. I put words like travel, casual, and outdoor in the listing title. That sold for $34.90. That was the offer that I sent out to watchers. I got that at a birthday sale for a local consignment store in June, but I didn't get around to listing it until like October, so it took a little over a month to sell. I only had $1.95 into that, and so my net profit was $24.02. And best of all, my daughter photographed that item, so that's really sweet. Also on the 8th on Poshmark, I sold this pair of Levi's 517 black bootcut denim jeans in a men's size 36 by 30. I had words like grunge and casual and everyday in the listing title. Those sold for $25. I had $3.79 into them because they were part of a different birthday sale from the same consignment store. There's 2 locations, so there's a birthday sale for each location. And my net profit was $16.21. And that took about 3 months to sell. And then moving on to the 9th of November, which is the last day of sales that we'll talk about. That was a Sunday. And on Poshmark, I sold this Zara pale pink mohair Victorian pointel knit ruffle trim sweater in a women's size medium. One thing I love about Zara is that the brand name is so short, you can fit a ton of keywords in the listing title. But that I had listed for $50. Posher VA sent out offers for me for $42, which someone accepted. I had $3.60 into that item, and so my net profit was $30. I actually got that at a consignment store last November. I didn't get around to listing it until maybe like late spring or something like that, but it was 80% off clearance when I got it, and it took a little over 6 months to sell. But I was very happy with that sale and my net profit being $30 on a Zara piece. Like, that's pretty good. And then last but not least, on eBay, I sold this pair of new with tags J. Crew men's slim fit flex khaki pants in a size 33 by 32. I had words like career and neutral and classic in the listing title. And of course, I forgot to say how much they sold for. So let me look that up really quickly. Hold on.
3 days later.
Okay. those sold for $19. That was an offer that I got sent to me, and it was part of the Reseller Supply Co box that they sent me, so I didn't have any money into it. I think I ended up charging a little bit more for shipping, so my net profit on that ended up being $19.65. So there you go. So here's how my numbers worked out for the week. I had one direct sale for a gross sales amount of $25. I hit $3 into the item. So after I paid for shipping, after my cost of goods, my net profit on that was $13.69. On eBay, I sold 5 items, and that was for a gross sales amount of $254.53. I had $37.34 into those items, and so my net profit was $124.35. I had 11 Poshmark sales for a gross sales amount of $444. I had $35.08 into those items, and so my net profit was $320.12 on Poshmark. And so in total, I sold 17 items for a gross sales amount of $723.53. I had $75.42 into those items, and my net profit for the week was $458.16, which I don't know, like being in the 400s in the year 2025 has been very rare, so I will take it. That made me really happy. And then I've been sharing with you how much money I've made from the items that I got at that estate sale that I told you about. So this week I sold 2 items from the estate sale for a net profit of $48.56, which means so far I have sold 180 items from that estate sale for a net profit of $3,662.24. And for the year thus far, I have made a net profit of $15,637.42. That is everything that sold for me. Again, I am feeling super under the weather, so I'm going to cut out here. My hope is to get a bunch of other what sold videos out to you really quick because I know I got a little behind again, but I hope you have a wonderful Thanksgiving because I think that's around the time that this is going to come up. And I want you to know one of the things that I am most thankful for, truly, is you guys. Because not only has reselling obviously changed my life financially, but YouTube has also changed my life financially, but even more so, it has changed my life because of the community that I have in all of you. And I can't tell you how much your words of encouragement and like the tips that you guys always leave for me in the comments. Just, I don't know, like sometimes when it takes me a while to get up a new video, like people will leave comments being like, I hope you're okay. And, I don't know, like I know that I will never have the pleasure of meeting the majority of you face to face, but I really do hope you believe me when I tell you I'm so thankful for you. I'm so thankful for this community. I never for a second take you for granted, and you are the reason I keep showing up week after week. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit the like button, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.